So on this channel, I make a lot of content about conservatives, and that leads a lot of conservatives to comment on my videos, well, you're just a woke liberal. And I often say to them back, no, I hate liberals pretty much just as much as conservatives, sometimes, if not more, because I'm not one. I'm left-wing. I'm not a liberal. And a lot of people, I think, are still confused about the difference, especially in, I guess, the more binary spectrum of American politics. So basically, liberals are for the status quo. Liberals think nothing can really get better, and their standards are really, really low, leading many of them to say Joe Biden is the best president in their lifetimes. And, of course, I disagree with that anyway, but at the same time, they cannot imagine a better world, essentially. But they're also, like, pro-capitalist, they're pro-neoliberalism, they're pro-just general US imperialism, and they basically view the world like it's a Harry Potter book. So Joe Biden good, Donald Trump bad. And you must support Joe Biden no matter what. Now, a lot of them also support Israel. A lot of them don't as well, but they will also do damage control for Biden, acting like his hands are tied. Oh my God, he can't do anything. He's trying his best. Also, my favourite one I keep getting told at the moment, Donald Trump would be worse. I don't even think you can be worse than Joe Biden on this issue, right? You can be rhetorically worse, you can say worse stuff, but in, reality, what more could you actually do? So that's the bar for liberals, and I think it's becoming increasingly clear. The stuff liberals pretend they're good on, social issues, like sticking up for the LGBT community, women's rights, I don't know, minority rights or whatever in their country, they're also not good on that either. And it shows with things like Palestine, but it also shows in this video in terms of Muslims and women. They are just waiting for someone to give them an excuse to say something terrible about them, because they don't actually care about these issues because they care about equality of everyone. They care about these issues because their political party kind of supports them, right? So as we're going to see, once a Muslim or a woman gives them an excuse, either they are left-wing or they're conservative, then the misogyny, the transphobia, and the Islamophobia just comes out so naturally to these people because, yes, liberals are fundamentally racist, and liberals aren't actually that much different from conservatives. They just worship someone who is a bit different than Donald Trump, and that's why it's become popular to call these people blue MAGA, because they so uncritically support Joe Biden. And you would have seen it when Trump obviously got the verdict handed down to him about his recent court case. They were all celebrating as if the world had suddenly got better or something. They literally view the whole thing like a movie, and that's why they love this stuff so much. Whereas for me, I'm like, well, it's nice for once someone faced a tiny bit of justice, but this guy will probably still become president and probably won't actually face many problems. So today I'm just going to show you these liberals going absolutely mask off and feeling very emboldened to be misogynistic, transphobic, Islamophobic, based on specific instances. Now, follow me on social media at the Kavernacle on Instagram, my personal and my travel Instagram. Also, check out my Threads and my Blue Sky account. And if you want to support my work, please check out my Patreon page where you can get access to the Discord server. So there are two types of blue MAGA. There are the boomers who have always voted Democrat, who I feel kind of bad for sometimes because it's just clear they've just been so brainwashed, and they're not like necessarily evil or something. They just feel like very naive, and they're like, well, socialism is bad because I've been told it's bad my whole life and nothing can really get better. But then we have the age of the smug liberals. People I think are probably educated enough to know better, but are just like pretty terrible people. So someone tweets out a video of Rashida Tlaib saying, at a conference for Palestine in Detroit, "You are an enabler, President Biden, but we aren't going to forget in November, are we? We're not going to forget in November, Joe Biden, so we might not vote for you." And as we all know, liberals think voting is the most important thing ever. Voting just can completely stop fascism. So one of these people tweets, "She can be the first to be deported under Trump for all I care." Obviously, just like blatant xenophobia and racism, Rashida Tlaib was born in America. So where's she getting deported? But they don't mind saying this. They want her to be deported. They're basically saying, I want you to be deported by Trump. You deserve that as punishment for not voting for Joe Biden, who is arming the Israelis while they literally destroy your people. Rashida Tlaib is Palestinian, right? So again, liberals want any excuse to say this stuff. They can't wait because ideologically, they're not too different from Trump supporters. And Joe Biden, essentially in terms of foreign policy and immigration policy, is literally Donald Trump's second term, right? So these liberals will support this. And obviously, people in the comments agreeing, saying, she's basically saying only my group matters, forget everyone else, good way to alienate the base. Well, that's what these people are saying. Your terms are accepted. If she helps him get elected, he will probably put her in his cabinet, which makes no sense. But thankfully, lots of people are saying, you're just Republicans. Do you think fantasizing about fascist violence against people makes you look sympathetic? But don't worry, I've seen loads of these takes. Another take I've seen is basically like all federal aid should be withheld from red states during natural disasters because obviously the battles between the federal government and like state governments and stuff over disaster relief funds or just general funds for different things. And that's like the liberal mindset in a nutshell, not realizing that there are like millions of people in all these red states who both are liberals who vote Democrat and are also just people suffering terrible poverty, and you don't want to help them because they're run by Republicans and stuff. But that shows them it's all binary. It's all about their team. And that's why they're blue MAGA. And probably one of the worst accounts I've seen on Threads and Twitter is something called Patriot Takes. And I can make a whole video about this. There is an industry of anti-Trump liberal grifters. I think David Pakman is probably the worst of them, considering he makes like 5 videos a day and can like never ever cover Israel-Palestine seemingly. And, I've made a whole video about that back in the day. But these Patriot Take guys do not ever say anything bad about Joe Biden. And also they know what they're doing when they're posting certain images of conservative women because they know what the backlash will be. So recently Marjorie Taylor Greene posted a picture of her in a bikini. Now, it goes without saying, I've got no love for Marjorie Taylor Greene. I think she's a fascist. I think she's on the far right. I think she's an anti-Semite. I think she's an all-round terrible person. And in that, I can criticize her being a terrible person because of her terrible politics. I wouldn't start attacking her based on her appearance at all, because for one, that doesn't make a difference in terms of her politics. I think for liberals it does make a difference sometimes. Also, I wouldn't do that anyway because I'm not like a bad person. And also, she just looks like a normal person as well. And most of the people they start saying terrible things about just look like normal people. So she posts this picture of her in a bikini, and I don't know how old she is, like maybe late 40s, early 50s, and yeah, she looks fine. She looks like she's in like decent enough shape. Nothing to say from me. I know she's massively into like CrossFit and stuff and is proud of her fitness. And if this is just like a random person you show me a picture of, that's what I'd say. It looks like an older woman who takes care of herself because she's in decent shape, right? And liberal people who instinctively want to make fun of her, think about this. If this was Joe Biden's daughter or something, would you start saying all these terrible things about her? I don't think you would. But because she's a Republican who you hate, then the misogyny just comes out, doesn't it? You just want to say a terrible thing about a woman sharing her body. So someone on Twitter posting a picture of Dog the Bounty Hunter without a shirt. But yeah, here it starts. Wasteless. Like a boy. And something weird you're going to be seeing in these comments. You're going to get liberal transvestigating or liberals using she looks like a trans woman as like a slur against her. And that is obviously so funny to me that liberals always say you must support Joe Biden to protect LGBT people. You must support Joe Biden to protect transgender people. Look what Donald Trump's going to do. But at the same time, I'm going to use trans woman as basically a slur against someone's appearance, which is just so problematic in so many different ways. I don't think I really need to go into that too much, but yeah, it's fucking gross. But then, and these are all like the top comments. I was trying to eat, disgusting woman. Inside and out. Like, seriously, what is wrong with these people? How do you look at that picture and say she's disgusting? She's a middle-aged woman. In a country like America, for that age, she's probably in better shape than most people, right? And you're saying she's a disgusting woman on the outside as well. So more nice things from the Democrats. Oh, look, a gorilla in a bikini. And then you get more weird stuff like this. Because it's a team sport, isn't it? You have your favourite public figures versus the ones you hate. I bet AOC looks way better. She wouldn't post a pic in a bikini, though, especially today. She's too much of a lady for that. Like, oh my God. This is so bad. This is written by another woman as well. And it's like, come on, are we really boiling down people's self-worth in politics based on how they look and how ladylike they are? If AOC was overweight and wanted to post a picture in a bikini as well, does that make her bad? Apparently, but because she's younger, might be slimmer and might look better, that's good. But actually, it's also good she would never post this because it's actually bad and slutty to do this. How is this any different to MAGA conservatives? Again, more gross shit. Trans men are allowed to wear bikinis. My thought too from long ago, I don't know what their genitalia is, but they have an Adam's apple. I think he just tucks. Again, liberals being grossly transphobic and transvestigating Marjorie Taylor Greene. And this keeps coming up whenever I see these comments, them just saying Marjorie Taylor Greene is a man or a trans woman and using that as some sort of gotcha. It's honestly really sick. And so don't worry, the misogyny isn't going to stop coming. So another picture by Patriot Takes. Lauren Boebert voted against help for veterans. Again, Lauren Boebert, another person, absolutely terrible, far right like Marjorie Taylor Greene. And obviously has had a lot of very bizarre controversy, getting a bit too handsy in a cinema, which, you know, you think conservatives would hate. I have no problem people, you know, pointing that out. Using all of this to then just be very misogynistic, it's kind of like the Marjorie Taylor Greene stuff. It's like, lots of people just look how they look. You say Marjorie Taylor Greene is disgusting. Imagine all the people in your own life who aren't even in that good shape, probably are more overweight, and you're saying someone like that is disgusting, right? And now you're saying more stuff about someone like Lauren Boebert here. So another person who posted again, proud liberal vermin, 5th generation Florida man, pro-choice, pro-science, anti-Christo-fascism, MAGA is a cult. Well, blue MAGA is a cult as well. I bet those 2 service members had their members serviced immediately following this photo. Because get it, guys? You could attack anything about this woman, about, you know, the actual issue of she voted against help for veterans exposed to toxic burn pits. But oh no, don't worry, just say she's a prostitute, basically. So there's another picture. Mar-a-Lago fashion finds post to like random people from Donald Trump's hotel. Don't know who either of these are. So you get some of the comments. So Mar-a-Lago is one constant freak show. Their fashion sense delves into the realms of horror films. I mean, like, it's not that extreme, is it? More comments. Where is the pimp? Mar-a-Lago women always look like retired streetwalkers. And they look down on hookers. They dress worse than hookers. I hear that when you go to a whorehouse, the girls line up like this so you can make your pick. So someone else posting Donald Trump Jr.'s wife, who posted like a new photo shoot of her. Someone should check on Kimberly. I'm sure many are on her OnlyFans account, which is an insult, by the way. You know, they always talk about like supporting sex workers and stuff like this. But yeah, if you have an OnlyFans account, you're bad. I thought they were anti-trans. Donald Trump Jr.'s wife looks like a trans woman, basically. And yeah, that's a bad thing, and it's hypocritical on their part. Is this her OnlyFans account? Is this for her OnlyFans page? And then another photo with the similar woman from the first one with someone else. So I think Patriot Takes knew what they were doing here. Mar-a-Lago is such a strange place. Can't help me, but they look like trans. Oh my god, my first thought, which is cool, but the cult shames these people. Thought trans people weren't allowed at Mar-a-Lago. So liberals like to do this a lot. They like to actually be really insensitive and bigoted and trying to be like the ha-ha gotcha. So to them they're like, oh, they look like trans women. I thought Donald Trump hated trans women, and look, they're here. Thinking like that's a totally okay thing to say. It reminds me of this thing, and I'm going to try and find it because I don't remember specifically who said it. There was some sort of liberal comedian, and it was one of the rulings of the Supreme Court. I forgot what it was exactly, and they said something insane about like the Supreme Court judge's daughter being like assaulted by black men, and her point was meant to be he would hate it because he's such a racist, while being extremely racist in what she was saying. I'm going to try and find it and point out for you, because I see this a lot with liberals. They pretend to care. They pretend to care about trans people. They pretend to care about black people. They pretend to care about women. But at the first chance they will get, they will use like supposedly conservative hypocrisy to be bigoted themselves, to try and be like, ha, look, you don't support that, and we do. So you would hate that, wouldn't you? And it also shows you how performative their often activism is, right? So they will constantly talk about trans women being women, trans women being valid, Joe Biden said something like that, but Joe Biden doesn't actually think that. Joe Biden doesn't actually stand up for transgender people. These people here don't actually think that either, because the first insult they will go to is, oh my god, that looks like a trans woman. And basically admitting, despite them saying trans women are women, is that they don't see trans women as women. So I don't even know what to really call it. It's like some sort of like woke transphobia and like woke misogyny. And it's similar to what you see with the Israelis. They always talk about, oh, if you're LGBT and support Gaza, why don't you go there? And then they usually end it by, I hope they throw you off like a rooftop or something, right? Showing that, yeah, you hate LGBT people just as much as this stereotype you've created, and you've just been waiting for a chance to express this hatred in a way that seems like socially acceptable. Now, just going back to like the Muslim point again, they will turn on certain communities the first chance they get. So John Hudson tweets out, prominent Muslim and Arab Americans have now concluded that they're irrevocably at odds with the Biden administration. I have told them frankly, don't waste your time anymore unless you have something substantial, said the publisher of an influential newspaper in Dearborn, Michigan. But then you get more stuff like we saw before. They'll just love Trump's Muslim ban. Are these the same people that joined arms with the Republicans to pick on the LGBTQ community? By helping elect Trump, they risk being deported and their families barred from coming to the US even for a visit. Trump will not do the same mistake as he did with the first Muslim ban. He will perfect it. And what is so funny to me is they don't realise they're basically threatening Muslims to vote for Biden, and they think that's like a good strategy. Like, yeah, vote for Biden or Trump will deport you. You don't have a choice, Muslims. We'll be fine. We're not Muslims. We're not getting deported. We're doing it for you. We are voting for Biden so you don't get deported. But just don't really forget that. And it just shows you the mask will come off so quickly with liberals because they are for the status quo, and they'll find some rationale to actually justify terrible shit when their side does it. Like, think about all the stuff to do with Israel and Palestine right now. If Donald Trump was doing that, they'd be against it, wouldn't they? And it's the same on the other side, right? Because of Joe Biden supporting Ukraine, the MAGA cultists, they're against that. But a lot of them would be supporting it if Donald Trump did it. And that's why it's so funny these two groups see each other as so different when they are so similar. If their side does it, it's good. When Joe Biden proposes like a really fascist immigration policy, that is great 4D chess by Biden to try and like expose conservative hypocrisy by threatening to do an even worse immigration policy just to prove some sort of point in Congress. So it shows you ideologically these two groups aren't too different, because fundamentally the Democrats and Republicans are very similar on most issues, because at the end of the day, both parties serve capitalism and US imperialism. They don't care about most of us, so why do you pledge your loyalty to either of them? They're never going to help your life. Joe Biden has basically done nothing to make people's lives better, right? Donald Trump won't even pretend, but he won't do it either. But these two groups fight each other non-stop, thinking it even matters, when it fucking doesn't. Both of these candidates, in my opinion, are largely the same on 95% of issues, and even the points where they differ, like Joe Biden's stance on social issues, like many liberals, what do they actually do to actually ensure these communities are safe? And also we see with Joe Biden and others, when the chance comes around, they will throw these communities under the bus anyway, because they just use them as political pawns. They don't actually care. And Blue MAGA is a reflection of this, where they can pretend to care about the LGBT community, women and Muslims, and at the first chance they get, basically say, no, fuck all of you. We actually are super bigoted. And if you show yourself to be a leftist or a conservative who doesn't like Biden, you're actually fair game for this. Anyway, that is it for the video. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. And if you made it this far, thank you for watching.